Okay,
Oh,
I'd like everyone to join us with a moment of silence for Thomas Jose Padilla Molina, the father of Tom Padilla, and Ruth Marie Vanderbilt,
It's grandmother, Clarice.
grandmother of Clarice. So please join us for a moment of silence. Okay, thank you.
Thank
Approval of minutes, January 6, 2025, reorganization, your motion? Motion. Your second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Any opposed? None, motion passes. Okay, so I'm gonna skip over the public comment. And just go to the shade tree inventory presentation by Ray. And then we'll open up the public comment afterwards.
Yeah, Julie wants.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Ray Slayman is the.
I put it on. Sorry.
Oh, hear me, right?
Yeah.
For streaming.
Oh. Ray Slayman is consulting arborist that helped us with the tree inventory. He and his team literally counted and documented almost 5,500 street trees in Woodcliff Lake. It's pretty incredible, analyzed, and, determined, how healthy the trees are in Woodcliff Lake, and I'm not gonna take up any more time, I'll let Ray take it over.
Thanks, Councilwoman. Ray Slayman, thank you very much. So I had prepared the report to the committee, and I made some copies. I have 7 copies, so Tom will get you one extra one next time, and Council, I'll get them to you as well, but
It's more important they have it.
Thank
You can always,
you.
I think you emailed that, I have it,
yeah.
I have it on email, Ray, so
Yeah.
I'm good.
So,
Yeah, thank you.
That's fine.
so I gave one, right?
Yeah, I sure.
Thank you. We can share.
So, so essentially, the shade tree committee had invited me to myself and Sterling Consultants to come and to do an inventory of the trees in the borough. What we concentrated on was the trees in the right of way primarily, but also on public spaces. Here at the Borough Hall, at the DPW, at the parks, and very importantly, at the meeting where we count all the trees. So we did that beginning of the summer and through November of 2024. And we identified the trees for a number of different characteristics, which we thought were important to do. One was the size, species, what condition they're in, if they're healthy or not, if they're safe or not, which is very important. And if there's any recommended maintenance. So that's the broad outline of what we had done. I do want to go maybe step back for a second and say why we did that, because that's also part of the report, which is right up front, is why this was an important thing to accomplish. So the main thing is because trees are such a valuable asset for the borough, for any community, and not just trees for trees' sake, but trees because they're better for people. And trees will improve the community in a number of different ways. They provide oxygen, of course, flood water mitigation, which is important everywhere. The soil erosion mitigation, heat mitigation, pollution reduction, and also there's some non-specific things that are not as easy to measure, which is property value increases, well-being of the community, human population community for the trees. So for all those things, it's important for the trees. And if trees are important, then it's important to know what kind of trees you have and what condition they're in. So the good news is the Woodcliff Lake trees are in wonderful condition. Woodcliff Lake, we've done inventories for a number of different communities, both in Bergen County and Passaic, and Woodcliff Lake is probably one of the top communities, that cares for its trees and its
Sure.
wildlife. So you guys have a real wonderful, answer for that. The, trees can also be assigned a dollar value based on a number of different criteria. Oxygen, floodwater mitigation, so there's different formulas that are, industry, accepted. And what the trees for, would reflect the borough trees, amounted to $28,425,244 in asset to the borough. So, again, that's something that you should be proud of, but it's also something that you say, well, we'd like to make sure we maintain that and protect it and value it for the community. So, as Councilman Julie had mentioned, 5,456 trees were counted and evaluated. There were 147 discrete species. So that's good in a number, and for a specific reason, because diversity is important. So if you have a monoculture anywhere, it's subjected to maybe disease or going to be weaker. So a diverse tree canopy is really, really helpful. So 147 discrete species out of 5,000 trees is a very good balance, a very good ratio. The size and mix of the trees is very good as well. So you have some old heritage trees, which are wonderful. You see the big oak trees along the Papa Road and along the Passaic and so on, but you also see smaller trees that have been planted by the committee. So it's important to have a mix of younger and older trees because again, that indicates that it's a healthy environment. The other good news too about some of the mundane things is that because the trees are in such nice condition, 91% of the trees of more than 5,000 require only maintenance. So when we evaluated the tree, we would look at condition of the tree, if it represents a hazard or an elevated risk, because as you know, any tree has the potential to fail, but the evaluation that arborist will do is to see if a tree has an elevated or unusual risk or an unacceptable risk. And 91% of the trees require only routine maintenance, which is what you do with any tree. A handful of trees needed some specific maintenance, and one of the nice things is that we had reached out to Tom and to the DPW when we discovered on our evaluation there were 2 trees that needed immediate attention because they represented a risk to the community, and they were addressed within 2 hours. So that's a testament again to the work of the DPW. I want to turn to also to the something that's important as part of our evaluation, is the methodology of collection and where the information is stored. So about 9 years ago, now 10 years ago, the committee had gone through an inventory for the borough trees, which was great, and that was the basis for our beginning. It didn't include some trees, it didn't include the level of detail that we had gone through, which is to really evaluate the condition of the trees, but it was a great starting point. The biggest downside of that evaluation and that inventory is that it was a static document. So from 2015 to now, we had no idea what condition the trees were going to have to do and so on. When we put this together, we collected the data. I printed these documents. The 2 days after these were printed, they were out of date. I had gone out to find out that a tree had been removed since I had evaluated. Another tree needed to be taken a look at. Another 22 trees were added, which we didn't capture because they were added after the streets we had gone to. So one of the wonderful things about what the committee had agreed to was to contain this data on an online database, dynamic, real-time, viewable database. And the data is housed in a program called ArborPro. So in my document, on page 22. Page 22. That shows the borough. And those green dots represent any tree that we evaluated. Is there on it?
There's no 22.
There's no function.
Okay, so go to page,
Put the one up on the screen there.
yeah, go to page
14, would be?
14.
Yes.
So page 14 shows the, so that's the borough, and this is a live view of the data. This is a live view of the database. So, each green dot represents a tree. So we evaluated each tree. You can look at the trees in the database. You can look at the trees here, right here in the, DPW, excuse me, in the Borough Hall property. And we can see what I saw that day, which is, here's the address, the type of tree. We have a red oak that's right here in the front of the building. It's 24 inches in diameter. It's about 60 feet in height. We evaluate its condition, which is good. Routine maintenance could be that the crown raised, and so that means that when an arborist sees a crown raising, it means that it's for pedestrians or for traffic. It means the branches might be too low, so you raise the crown so that pedestrians or traffic can pass underneath safely. What you'll also see is that there's a note specifically for this tree that we wrote up. What kind of tree is it? What exact condition it's in, and so on. So we see this you'll see this evaluation for
tree.
456 trees.
Yeah.
It also has a tree value in there, that's what I was talking about. So this particular tree was valued at, in a rough way to say it's $11,000 to be valued in the borough. And then it shows why, because air pollution removal and so on.
Plus, you're gonna start peeling trees.
The other thing that this online database does is it allows us to upload pictures. So we took some pictures of the tree to see the condition it was on that date. So you can see on the left-hand side.
Mhm.
So this gives us a record that says, okay, 6 months ago, when I looked at this tree, it was in this condition. What's happened today? Is it better? Is it worse? Does it need treatment? Is it safe still? And then you can see that record. The data then can also be accessed by tree company that needs to manage it, maintenance companies, DPW, and they'll have access to that says, okay, here's a work list from these 5,000 trees, 10 of them need to be trimmed this week, and then you can do that in the database. The other nice thing too is that within this software, I can go from my pictures to here's the Google Street View. So I can see this tree from where Google sees it. And this gives you a sense of the where it is in the landscape and so on. So all these things mean that the database and the software will mean that the trees can be managed, evaluated, and updated on a dynamic basis. As I mentioned, there'll be access to this information from folks that need it. So the committee will have access to this. There'll be a select 1 or 2 people that have administrative rights to manage it, to put information in. For instance, your arborist, Ruth Stewart, has some information. She asked me, can she upload some information to attach to some trees she evaluated, and that's part of the process. So her evaluations will be attached to each tree. And then if the DPW does work, we trim the tree on July the 10th. Here's our information. Homeowner says, how come nobody helps with my trees? How come nobody answers any questions? You'll have a record of what happens with these trees and if they've been maintained. So overall, I think that's a wonderful tool. If we had just produced this document, that would be great, but it'll sit in the drawer and a week later it'll be out of date. So I think this software is such a wonderful, valuable tool. When I talked to Clay and the committee, they saw some real value in it as well, and that's why we use that as the basis for the data collection.
I'm sorry, just so the council knows, I don't have the data in front of me, Ray, but I know that the training is gonna go on for the software. I think it's in the next week or so, isn't it?
Tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. I knew it was, I wanted to say tomorrow, but I didn't want to be wrong. So yeah, so that's, Julie and a couple folks from the Shade Tree obviously will be, and our main administrator, if you will be Lyle, since he's our Shade Tree inspector and he's the one that goes out and checks the trees and makes any, recommendations and authorizes any trees to come down. So he's already on there also. I just
Yeah,
wanted to
great.
point that out.
So the software is accessible, from a web browser, so you don't need, special equipment, you don't need a dedicated device. So anybody can see this on a browser, on your phone. So if a council person is out, they say, how come nobody's helping me with my trees? You can pull up information in the field if you have access to the link. And you'll see the full inventory. What also might be nice, and again, there was some question about, how much you'd like to, introduce to the public. I think it's a wonderful tool, and I think it's a wonderful testament to you all that the trees are in such great shape, and it's such a wonderful asset for the community. So we'll look at here, communities like the Woodfield Flag. I worked on the arborist in Demarest. Arborist, we're doing work in Park Ridge, in the coming summer. And so, Woodfield Flag is really is a top, asset for humanity. So from my perspective, allowing the public to have some information would be great for you folks and for the public. So they can see the trees they have, they can see what's in their neighborhood, they can see the entire community. And it's up to you all how much, you'd like to reveal or how much you'd like to make, accessible to the public. But I think it's a nice, element to what you can do for the folks that you have. As I said, only a select number of people have access to administrative rights to be able to put information in or update or make changes. But anybody, from my view, would be, it's such a valuable tool that they can have access to see it and to see the information and everything.
So how would the public access work? Would it be giving them limited credentials, or would it be, having some kind of output file, Excel, where it breaks it down by address?
The most common way is to make the simplest way, which is there could be a link on the town website that says, here's the link to the data. And it'll be available as you only access.
Is there additional cost to that, or is that built into what we have?
And that's one of the things, we had discussed. We were waiting for the training to occur, and then we would discuss probably just putting a link on our website under the Shade Tree area so that folks can see it. But we'll wait for the committee to, make their recommendation
Yeah.
accordingly.
There's already some information on the website.
Correct.
Under Shade Tree.
So
I
it's-
think it was installed like 3/4 of the way through. So it can just all be updated.
Yeah, and it's important to give information that doesn't engender confusion, of course, so that you introduce one piece of it and it might open up a whole bunch of questions. So you want to make sure you introduce this when it's clear how it's going to be received. And so yeah, Tom, that's an excellent point. So after tomorrow, the committee will have more information about the way the software is managed. And then you'll be more comfortable to say, okay, yeah, I think there's not going to be a lot of confusion or questions that will come up if this is introduced to the public. So, and the ongoing maintenance, the ongoing activity on the trees can be managed right from this portal. Like I said, link. It's real simple to upload information, even if make changes and so on. And it's something that will be at the training, will be an hour, and everyone will be able to speak more.
Could you show the report and picture of a black set of like the experience of experience? Where was that taken?
That is on, it's technically on, it's not in the right of way, but it's so spectacular. I gotta include that in the database. It's just off Knickerbocker Road on,
Campbell?
Excuse me?
You're taking cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the, it is, I still have it on my head. It is.
That's not Renee Court.
Is it Campbell or no? It's page 12.
Okay, right, I want to. So I can give you real life, if you have a second, here's a way that I'll be able to find that, so here's my search option. I'm going to search my PBH, so that's the diameter crest height, that's how big the tree is. So I'm gonna search that, I'm gonna search for the biggest one, so 30 plus.
66 is that?
So here's all the biggest trees in town.
Wow.
You can also- So these are all trees that are 30 inches in diameter or larger. So you can see all of these. So that's a nice mix.
Ray, quick question, would anybody be able to search that way, or just?
Yeah, yeah. this
No,
is- Yep.
Yeah, so that's all,
Because you can't manipulate this, you can only.
no, I know, but I just, no, that's good.
So my big tree is right here. Yep, that's it.
I said Campbell.
Sorry, on Campbell.
I said that. Thank
In the
you.
driveway,
I
it's
heard
on, right
Thank
on his
you.
driveway, so it looks like it's growing into his driveway. And you can see here the canopy.
Whoa, it's
This
huge.
is the single plant.
That's
Well, it's good to know if he comes in for a exemption.
It is pretty valuable, even to the town, so even though it's a private tree, that's something that I'm a big advocate for, you can say, yeah, it's on your private property, but if this tree's cut down, the town, you know, that makes a difference to the town.
What do you value that tree at? Just curious. Yeah.
Why are you gonna go cut it
That's
down,
great.
Tom? Dig it up and put it at your house? Could be the next thing that people steal? Whoa, whoa. I wanna know if I have a wealth, I wanna know if I have a valuable tree. Look at that.
Well, so it kind of creates like an interesting conversation that says, oh, how much is this tree? How valuable is it? What about my neighbors? They have a better tree than I do. How come?
No, but I think the ecosystem benefits is interesting, with stormwater and all that.
It's a wonderful line for the oldest tree.
Yeah, that's Pottersville.
That's a whole nother.
No, but I can see. Kate using this
Like
for
tree
projects,
forest or
you know,
something.
I
Yes.
think it's useful. Pretty cool, you know.
Yeah, and you can say what kind of trees are in town. Are there any exotic trees? We found one, umbrella pine, which is not a native, we found exotic trees are gonna be non-native. The other good news is that we found, there were only a handful of, ash trees. Now, if anybody's familiar with any trees, you know, ash trees took a beating because they had a bug.
Oh,
And I gotta say.
the lantern flag?
The Shade Tree Committee really tried to save.
Yeah.
We could.
The lantern flag, or not?
Unfortunately,
It's a, emerald ash
Oh,
borer.
the
Yeah, well,
borer.
It's just specific to ash trees.
Years ago, it Oh. was very,
Yeah.
So, and again, one of the, and I'll, if you'll help me, so 10 years ago, the inventory showed 44 ash trees in their inventory. No, excuse me, 100 and some odd trees in there, and half of them were gone by the time I got to them 5 years later, 8 years later. And the condition of those trees were, most of those had to be removed anyway. So that's another thing too, that you
there's such
see.
nice trees there.
Gee, do we have a, are we
pretty.
exposed to a big loss, because we have a lot of ash trees? Are we exposed to a big loss if something comes in, like, for instance, beech trees now have a potential for a big loss, there's a fungus that's attacking beech trees. So if you look in your inventory and say, are we vulnerable to that? You say, no, we only have about 50 beech trees, and they've had a 5,000, so 1% of your tree is beech, so that's not vulnerable.
How many trees do we have on the farm? All the way trees?
I didn't count those, because those were outside the fence.
80.
That's 75.
Oh, there you go. So, yeah, they were outside the fence, they were actually in, on, Suez property, right, you know.
Yeah.
And I guess if you had to estimate, no, just estimating, like, what percentage of trees do you think you've captured with your inventory? I mean, is this 5%, 10% of the total trees in town, or?
We have this tree there.
Meaning the public trees versus, private trees.
Correct, I mean, total trees within the buffer.
The private trees are about 20% of the overall canopy. So you can say there's maybe 20,000 trees.
In the
borough.
entire town?
Yeah.
Wow, I thought there'd be more.
So-
And I have
I'm
like
gonna, how many,
50 of
how many
them.
houses? are there?
So that's the thing too, is that the big properties in
So
in
10
the borough.
average? 10 weeks.
So there's a, I can get more, I'll get that more
Oh,
specific.
no, I was just curious, I mean, it doesn't,
Yeah, into the announcement. But yeah, that tells you that if there's 5,000 public trees, there's multiples of that of private property. And if there's a strong community support for those trees, then the town is better. If there is if there's 8,000 individual decisions on those trees, and they say they're my trees, I'll cut mine down, and got 8,000 people making the same decision, then the town is gonna be different. It'll have a different characters. So I'm over my time.
Interesting.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions that you have, please, I have my, some cards, I'll give everyone, and you can email it, please feel free to talk to Julie, because we talk a lot, and, reach out to the committee. And we work with them over the next month or two to, continue to update the data.
We thank Marilyn Clark for the generous donation to make sure this project, goes on the right foot. So,
Absolutely.
I don't know if Marilyn's watching or wherever she is, but thank you, Marilyn.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Samantha.
Thank you.
Thank
Right,
you.
thank you for your hard work.
Well, maybe someone has a question for Ray from the public, so we're gonna move to public comment.
Yep.
Motion.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? None? Anyone from the public would like to speak on this matter or any other matter? No? Want to say anything, Blake?
Let the record reflect Mr. Taylor is not standing up.
You wanna say anything?
Nor is Mr. Bosch, nor is Mr. Bosch.
No? Are you good?
I'm sorry, Bert, I just had to.
You're right, I'll get that.
All right. All right, so.
Joe?
Joe.
Yeah. come on up.
Do it to the mic, Joe, because this way, if you're doing it to any of the mics, this way they can hear you at home, the one to the one.
Oh, sirens.
Name and tell you from.
Yeah.
There's a thing you didn't say, like, I just wanted to make a comment, when I was, mayor, a long time ago, 1996. I went down, all the committees and stuff like that, and at that time, the Shade Tree Committee, consisted of two people. One man was 97, I believe, and the other person was in a nursing home. I just want to thank, the people that helped me get it started, because without Clay, and did a phenomenal job. Serge Gordon, who, unfortunately, is not with us anymore, and Andy Lukac, and myself in the beginning. And, those people really did a great job, and I hope, the people that are on the committee now has grown and grown and grown. Seems every time we have another meeting, another person comes in and going better.
Joe, what year was this?
Hmm?
What year was it? 1996.
96. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you, Joe.
Motion to close to the public.
Motion.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? None? Motion passes. You can stay for the rest of the meeting, or you can leave, whatever you want to do. And it's fine.
We won't be offended.
You won't be offended.
No one ever sees. We're just raising your tax.
Oh, we have to pay.
Anyone who shows up, that's what happens to you.
Oh, so that's why no one comes.
That's why no one comes.
All right, thanks. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On or off?
Did you press the?
Does red mean it's hot or what?
Oh, red means it's off. Red is on? I thought red is off. Wait, red is on.
Counterintuitive.
Red is off. Isn't it? Are they on?
No, but I guess, you know what?
Red is-
I guess red is on because there's, otherwise it's no light. It's not like a red or green situation. Yeah, it's like either on or not.
Well, why not make it green?
Red is on.
Yeah.
Okay, moving along. We have some proclamations in your package. One is Muslim Heritage Month and the other one International Holocaust Remembrance Day. So they're in your package. Thank you for providing that, Councilwoman Margolis. And I'd like to thank Sabrina for bringing, Sabrina, what's her last name again? Kareem, sorry. Sabrina Kareem for bringing us the Muslim Heritage Month notice that is this month coming up. Okay, moving on. I'm going to skip my mayor's report. Don't have much to say. So I'm going to make some appointments here. The Affordable Housing Committee, I here appoint the individuals that are listed in your agenda. So they're appointed for another year, the Affordable Housing Committee. And now we move on to council reports. Councilman Bonanno, you have anything to report?
Met with the DPW. Nope, I think I'm on, right? Right. Met with the DPW with Jen and Josh the other day, had a very good meeting. I think with the storm we just had, I think they did a great job. A couple of notes from the next shredding is coming up on March 21st. The holiday schedule changed for garbage on February 18th, zone A and B, February 19th, zone B. Should I go through all the different stuff or kind of just stuff that I just?
Whatever you like.
Highlights, 'cause it's the first time
Yeah.
I'm doing this. Okay. Repairs to the Borough Hall have been made and now we're back in the council chambers here, which is great. Cleaning services started in all borough buildings. Holiday decoration was cleaned up and put away for the season. Christmas tree collection will end this end of the month. Trees are being chipped up and free for residents to take from the Ecology Center. Street sweeper finished the town after the leaf season. I think that's pretty much it. I think all in all, it was a very good meeting for me to get to see what goes on with the DPW, get an understanding of what's involved with that. Notes for the senior committee. I know February 6th, there is a meeting at 12:30 at the senior center, which they're going to have a gentleman by the name of Pat Schubert talk about the creation of the American presidency and talking about the inaugurations, which should be interesting, and I plan on attending.
Nice.
February 6th.
February 6th at 12:30. Yep. It actually sounds like it'd be very good. And last thing is the what else do I have? Our communications. In June. First week of February, the digital newsletter will be going out, and no one should be worried that there also will be a paper one that also still goes out. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Well done. Your first one.
First one, thank you.
Yeah. Councilwoman Brodsky.
So the two ordinances that are being introduced, just to a little explanation, they're being amended to be consistent with each other. There was a little bit of a discrepancy before, one older than the other one. So now they will both ensure the care and maintenance of the tree canopy in Woodcliff Lake. We're in the process of finalizing the date and specifics for the new park opening and the name reveal. It'll be sometime in late March, early April. Plus, we will be sending out a save the date for Spring Fest. So please follow us on social media, subscribe to our digital newsletter, or visit the borough website for updates on this event and all others to follow. Just in high school news, just 2 points. The district recently announced it has been awarded a $75,000 grant to support advancements in artificial intelligence in education. Only 12 districts received this grant, and it was based on merit and the district's proposal. The funding will help drive innovation, enhance learning opportunities, and prepare the students for the future in a rapidly evolving world of technology. And to support and help our parents navigating their children's learning in this new era, Pascack Hills High School PFA Parent Academy will present AI literacy for parents tomorrow at 6:30. It's by Zoom. It's a 90-minute presentation, and it's open up to all parents, no matter where you live. If you want to register, you can go to the high school, the Pascack Hills High School PFA.org website. And that's all I have.
Councilwoman Margolis?
Thank you. So red is on? Okay. Makes no sense, but, Councilwoman Marsh and I have, met with the fire department and they are open and wanting to actually do some more fundraising this year to be able to do, and get more equipment and things that they need. So we are happily obliging. So our first event was moved from February 2nd to February 23rd because Hearth and Tap and Hearth, sorry, whichever way, Hearth and Tap is having a chili cook-off on February 2nd. So we have moved ours, we've pivoted to February 23rd. So we have put the notice out. We will be following up. We are looking to get, last year we had 20 entrants. We're hoping to have more. We'll be having a professional category and a civilian category. And to Nikki's excitement, there will be t-shirts. Will be housed in the fire department, and they actually have now a fundraising committee and a social committee that they've put together so we can do some other fun events during the year, which is great. All to benefit them and also to take some of the burden off of the town, which is fantastic. Some updates is Chris and I will be meeting in the next week or so about the Chamber of Commerce. I've spoken to a couple business owners in town who are excited to get involved with this, which is great. And I think it should also be known that we're also looking for people in town who also own businesses, possibly may not, who work out of their home and other things, to bring together our collective education and expertise to see what we can do to entice and retain businesses in town, which is fantastic. Some other things that we're working on is we're still looking to be film ready. So there is a course that we have to take and some other hoops and steps, but we want to stay on par with our neighbors. We are also working, as Joe, I know you'll like this, we're finally going to be able to do a Wycliffe Lake Historical Society. So I know you have some stuff at home. So hopefully we'll be able to get it together and hopefully you'll help and other people can help us really see what our history is about. Nikki and I with Tom met with the Revolution 250 people from the county as the 250th Revolution anniversary in 2026 is coming up. It is very imperative to know if we have any sites, and so we can capitalize on that and be part of the larger Bergen County process. We are still working on Cocoa with a Cop. I think I told you that we have leftover hot chocolate from Winter Wonderland. So we're working, hopefully the school will allow the 5th grade committee to work with the police department to be able to give hot chocolate when people are leaving school one day. It's Whole Foods hot chocolate. They are going to give us branded cups. So it really brings sort of the whole community together. And the last thing is, Mayor, as everyone up here has been on your Facebook Live, I hope that I get invited in the next couple of months to talk about some of these things so our residents can get involved.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
Councilwoman Marsh?
Thank you. On for tonight, we have our affordable housing resolution. I'm going to let Councilman Stern really go into it, but just for anybody who had asked us, you know, maybe why we didn't join a lawsuit or what we were doing, why was our number so high, you know, hopefully this explains a little bit about the process that we've taken in the past and that we chose, the path that we chose to take this round also. And, you know, we've worked really hard. Councilman Stern even found a nice reservoir that was being included and maybe shouldn't have been included, which really helped our numbers. But we have really wonderful professionals, our attorney Wendy and our planners Fran and Dan, who have all spent, yes, that's correct, who have all spent a great amount of time working to get our number to where it should be. And, you know, this resolution is definitely reflective of the hard work that we've all put in and, you know, what we are doing for the town. So, and it didn't cost us $20,000 to join a lawsuit that was not succeeding. For the planning board in December, the planning board gave preliminary site approval to 240 Broadway. We did have a lot of residents who came out who made their opinions heard. Preliminary site approval was granted. The preliminary site approval is for a subdivision where there'll be 2 single-family homes, and then the bulk of the property will be for 11 luxury townhouses and 28 stacked townhouses. There is more information on our website under the planning board section if you want to see, you know, the project that was proposed and the changes that were made and the testimony and where it ended up. But again, this is preliminary site approval. We are still working with the developers. You know, we are taking steps forward on the project, but we do want to let everyone know, especially us here, the mayor and the council, that, you know, part of my job as liaison, there are certain applications that I cannot vote on, and this being one of them, the zoning applications. But I'm here and we are listening and reporting back to the council and sharing with everyone the public's concerns and the public's feelings about some of these projects. And even if you think that they're not going your way or you're not being heard, I want to assure you that you are being heard and that we do take everyone's opinions, no matter where you live in town, very seriously. And we do want to hear from residents, and we want to hear from residents. You know, I've heard through several different residents throughout this process, and I think it really helps shape how we're looking at things going forwards and what we can do from our end. And we want to encourage residents to keep speaking out and to keep reaching out to us. You know, the east side is the same town. We are all one town. And this feeling and this notion that there's an east side and a west side and certain parts of town aren't being treated the same way is definitely something that we do not want to continue, that we do not feel, and that we want everyone to know that we are committed to making sure every person and every resident in this town feels represented and feels heard. And there are definitely steps we are taking to help with the east side and some of the concerns that were expressed, especially traffic issues and trees and sidewalks. And these are things that, you know, we really are taking steps, and we really plan to address a lot of these things this coming year. Just also, our next planning board meeting is tomorrow night. It's at 7 p.m. It's here. We are hearing two applications. So please, if you're interested, come by. If you can't make it, just reach out. Thank you.
Thank you,
It'll be
Council.
on Zoom also, Councilman.
Yes.
It'll be streamed.
Thank you. Councilman Pollock.
Right, a couple updates from my side on behalf of the police department. Now you're gonna see that being council president, you're gonna be left with virtually nothing at the end. On behalf of the police department, you see a resolution on this evening. It is 48 and 49, authorizing the beginning process to interview. It's not to hire, this is to interview some officers to backfill several officers and members of the command staff who will be retiring later this year. So we'll get that process started as soon as possible to ensure that we don't have any lapse in coverage for our police department across the town. Over this past weekend, I think yesterday, PSE&G installed 2 light posts on the lower level lot at Woodcliff Lake train station. I want to thank Councilman Stern for helping to really push that along and really championing that. So I think that's a really big safety improvement on behalf of the borough, and also just continues to update the overall aesthetic of that side of that property. You will see later this year, hopefully sometime in the summertime, we are looking to redo that lot. The barn was taken down a number of years ago and kind of left with a bit of a hole. So we'll be repairing that, redoing the retaining wall, as well as repaving those lots. Capital planning begins, we're going to start that process this week. I know borough staff have been working on it for a number of weeks, but the committee, myself, Councilman Stern and Councilman Bonanno will be meeting later this week to kick that off. So we look at both capital and operating expense for 2025. The Board of Health met last week, had its reorganization meeting. Ralph has been named the chairperson of the committee. Residents should have received or are receiving over the next day or so the dog and cat vaccination, as well dog licensing process. I can't recall the dates of that. Sometime in the spring, I
For
think.
the rabies.
Rabies vaccination.
vaccinations, I believe it's in.
May, I think.
Usually it's a
It's usually in April or May, so it's in April or May. It's
Okay.
on our website
On
though,
the website,
under the Board of
perfect.
Health.
Awesome. Thank you. So just take a look at that. Otherwise, all of our public dining establishments and places that serve food in the town, everything was satisfactory from a report perspective. And last update with regards to things mailed to people's homes. over the next couple of days, you should be receiving the first half 2025 DPW sanitation schedule, which is also published to the Woodcliff Lake website.
April 26th.
Thank you, April 26th.
The Rabies Clinic.
Very good.
Thank you.
That's at in front of Borough Hall
Yep.
or Fire
In front of
Department.
Borough Hall.
Thank you, Councilman. Council President Stern.
Yes, just going over the, the two brand new light poles that were installed in the lower lot. I think we need to give, a big thank you to the Borough Administrator, Tom Padilla. It is something that we had actually priced out with our engineer Neglia, who came back and told us that if we were to install those light poles ourselves, it would be over $100,000 per pole. Tom was able to find a way to have PSC&G do it and charge us a nominal a monthly fee. So I think we all owe Tom a very hearty thank you. Certainly saved a lot of money. I also want to thank Tom. Everyone knows Tom lost his father this past week. It was also a very busy week for the council. We had affordable housing meetings. We had issues of moving in here. Tom really stepped up to the plate. Even though I think it was Wednesday or Thursday of last week, we were going back and forth on the affordable housing issues. And even though Tom was on bereavement leave, he still managed to not only join the call, he still managed to make phone calls and emails to Veolia to get us really necessary information. I think the citizens of Woodcliff Lake really have a dedicated public servant in Tom. He's dedicated his whole life to public service, and it shows, and we should all be grateful for Tom and the hard work that he does for the borough and for the residents of this community. Also, to totally switch gears from a hero to a villain, I want as everyone knows, the Montvale had been challenging the affordable.
That's what I thought. I was
Can you videotape that speech?
No, but Montvale had been challenging, had filed a second order to show cause within Mercer County Superior Court. That order to show cause was based on certain procedural defects, certain administrative rulemaking functions that they believed was unlawful. Oral argument on that order to show cause was heard on Thursday. This afternoon, the court issued its ruling and summarily rejected for a second time the Montvale application. It's something which I know Nikki and myself have been asked numerous times about why we didn't join. A lot of it came down to just not seeing a viable legal theory. Our opinion was really to work hard, to keep our head down, to work hard for the best interests of Woodcliff Lake. We didn't believe that joining a lawsuit which didn't make legal sense had any benefit, particularly when it would put a target on your back with fair share housing. And so, we've worked very hard, and so we'll present sort of the first step in the affordable housing plan, which is to go over whether or not we commit to the DCA number or not, and we'll address that later in today's meeting. But I did want to report that the second application was denied. It does look like that the court will eventually dismiss the Montvale lawsuit.
Done?
And that's it.
Thank you, Councilman. Just have a question for Councilman Pollack and Councilman Stern. I know a few months ago, you guys engaged with Tom Padilla, the county, to do a traffic study on the corner of Woodcliff Ave and the old mill. You want to see if there's an update as to that?
Yeah, there is an update. I mean, we've been in contact with Nancy from the county. It's been a little bit tough to get her to commit to a date. She has responded within the last week. We are going to schedule that for some time in February.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Stern and I met earlier today, and we were reviewing, and the Nancy Dargis he refers to is the engineer that's in charge of the roads at the county. That's her function. And we will be meeting in February. We're going back with some dates. Anthony, our engineer, is going to be setting that up sometime in February to follow up on our results so that we could talk to them and see what steps we can take.
And just so you know, because I don't know if it was reported at a prior meeting or not, the warrant study came back and indicated that a traffic signal would be recommended at that intersection. That doesn't mean the county's going to go for a traffic signal. That is subject to negotiation. I will just add that during our meeting with the county, we do plan on raising the issue of Highview, of that intersection of Highview and Broadway, see if we can push that that stop line back a few feet to the intersection.
To allow the residents on Highview and the traffic coming down, making that left-hand
Right,
turn.
that's exactly.
Right.
So that's the intent to raise that issue when we meet with the county in February.
I had discussed that. I may have mentioned it at a prior meeting with the road department of the county, but as everything in government, they have to get the okay from their engineering department. So as Council President states, that's going to be part of our discussion when we meet with them in the next couple of weeks.
So you guys know, I had a brief conversation with Assemblyman Off during the PESCAC Chamber of Commerce breakfast the other day, and the state will be working on its budget. And he had indicated that if we have any transit projects, to please reach out to Assemblyman Off to see if we could get any grant money. So maybe that intersection of Highview would be one of the issues that you could address, and some other issues in town with him, to see if you could advocate for us and get us some grant money, maybe put it into the Department of Transportation budget. Even on the train station, I know there was some discussion concerning that bump going over the railroad tracks. And I think, Tom, I don't know if you mentioned or something.
Yeah, we're on their list.
Yeah. we're on the
That's the
list.
one that they're putting into their budget for 25. If you remember that they responded, so that should be hopefully addressed this year. But thank you for that info, and we'll certainly
Right.
the committee will certainly definitely look into reaching out to all our legislators there, so that, I know that we tried that in the past with some other projects with a couple of our legislators, and it didn't work out. Unfortunately, they're in the minority on the state level, so there's a lot of bartering that has to go back and forth, but that's what they're there for. So we will certainly push them.
And finally, you have resolution number 25-55 in your non-consent agenda. I just want to say, I want to thank Council President Stern and Councilwoman Marsh for being on top of this. This is, a very complicated project, or I guess a mandate that we really have to get an understanding of the requirements of the state. There were very stringent timelines that we have to meet. And I'm very happy, based on their hard work, that we have this resolution on the non-consent agenda. And hopefully we will work with Fair Share Housing in the future, bringing the best possible solution there is for Wickliffe Lake. We worked with them in the last round and third round, and I think we had a great resolution to our requirements last time. And I have faith in Councilman Stern and Councilwoman Marsh that we will have the same benefits for Wickliffe Lake in this round. I think everybody will be happy with the final result of this round, and hopefully get us some protection for the next 10 years when we finally get this through the court system. So thank you for your hard work. It's not over yet. It's only starting. But again, it is a very complicated, process. Correct. Thank you for the words. Okay. So let's move on with the agenda. Administrators report.
Thank you, Mayor. First and foremost, I want to thank Council President for those kind words. I want to thank all of you for your thoughts, your texts, your calls. As you know, it was a tough week, but I really do appreciate it. And it's great to have the support of your bosses when something like this happens, and even some of your prior bosses, Joe. Thank you. Just to touch on it, just the words of Josh, because he obviously got to me. But all I try to do is use, I've been in public service not my whole life, but most of my life. And I just try to leverage any relationships that I built through those years, try to help the town. And this was one of those cases. I also want to commend, because actually, PSE&G, our government affairs liaison, was extremely helpful. It was actually kind of tied in there. PSE&G, you think we have red tape in government? Try PSE&G, Veolia, Verizon, those places. She was able to really push that through. So Donette Burley was fantastic in that, and I'll be giving her a call tomorrow to thank her. But last and foremost, the only reason I'm successful here is really our staff. It's not me, it's a whole team effort, starting with Debbie, Chief Regular, Captain Malloy, Dave Linko, Kevin Zink, Ralph Maurice, Rob Kolke, just to name the department heads. And I'm lucky and blessed, and really those are testament to you guys who have put these folks in place that makes it a little easier and better and quicker and more efficient for us to really answer the residents' needs. So thank you very much.
Thank you. The engineer's report is included in your packet. There's no questions on that. We'll just move on. Ordinance, introduction of ordinance number 25-01. An ordinance to amend chapter 70 entitled Shade Tree Committee of the Borough Code of the Borough of Woodcliff Lakes, State of New Jersey. Is there a motion for introduction? Is there a second? All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? None. Motion passes. Introduction ordinance number 25-02, an ordinance to amend chapter 326 entitled Streets and Sidewalks of the Borough Code of the Borough of Woodcliff Lakes, State of New Jersey. Is there a motion for introduction? All in favor? Any opposed? None. Motion passes. Consent agenda. Any questions on the consent agenda? Being none, is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Motion.
Is there a second? No. Motion. All in favor? Yeah.
Yes.
It passes. Non-consent agenda, resolution number 25-55. Is there a motion, about resolution?
Before we introduce, if I could
Okay.
just give.
Yeah, go right ahead. Yeah.
You know, I know we had a closed session where we talked about it a little bit, but this is more for the public. And I know Nikki, I thanked a bunch of people, but, I do want to thank Nikki for her hard work. Mayor Rendo was also working very hard on the committee. DMR, who is our planner, Fran Reiner, Dan Euban, who just had a baby. Wendy Q, I can never pronounce her actual last name, who was invaluable in providing us guidance. Wendy's someone who we hired this past year, who has really worked out and is very smart attorney and gives very good advice. We started strategizing about 12 months ago for the affordable housing. It's something me and Nikki were actively reading the new legislation even before it got out of committee. From there, we met very early on about how to strategize. We also met and discussed whether or not to join the new, the Montville litigation, which we decided against. We tried to be very proactive and ahead of the game. As you know, we authorized a vacant land adjustment sometime in June and July, which was very early, but we really wanted to get the process started. There's a lot of towns who are going to be doing VLAs, and we didn't want to get clumped together with them. Back in October, the Department of Community Affairs came out with their number for Woodcliff Lake. It was a very high number. The number was 423. It was based on a myriad of different factors. One of them is town wealth. The other one was a land capacity factor. We've spent the last couple of months going through those numbers. And what you see in today's resolution is really whether or not we are committing to the 423 number, or whether or not we have found potential issues with that number. We have adopted the same methodology, but we did find a number of areas where we think we can reduce our number off of the 423. Two of them, the first issue that we found with regard to with the number from DCA was that DCA had improperly utilized certain land within the 300 buffer zone of not only the reservoir, but also within a certain pond that's located within Wooddale Park. That is something they should not have included, and that took our number down from 423 all the way down to 349. We also utilized new census data about some of the demographics in town, and that took the number down to 329. Now, I know the 329 number sounds high, but within the next step, the next process, which is June 30th, we do get to present our vacant land adjustment. We believe that the lack of vacant land within town will bring that number down somewhere about 80. That 80 doesn't mean 80 affordable units. That means 80 units including bonus credits. So that number could be less than that. Based on some of the new proposed developments that everyone knows about in town, we believe we can beat that number by the June 30th deadline, and secure a immunity from builder's remedy until 2035. That's the ultimate goal, is to sort of give us this immunity so that we can maintain control over our zoning within town. As everyone knows, that's sort of the big risk. If you don't meet the fourth round, you lose your ability to control zoning, and that could have disastrous consequences. We see what's happened. Park Ridge fought the Sony Horn Rock property, and we sort of see what they've built back there. So this is, I've always thought this is an existential issue. It's an issue that really does threaten our small community. It's an issue of why I ran for council, and I think we've all worked very hard, and I'm very proud of what we're presenting today and the plan that we're going to come up with to protect our residents.
With that being said, is there a motion for resolution 25-55? Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Banana,
Yes.
Ms. Brodsky,
Yes.
Ms. Margolis, Ms. Marsh,
Yes.
Ms. Pollock,
Yes.
and Mr. Stern.
Yes.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All in favor?
Yes.
None opposed? Thank you, everyone. Good night.
You.
Here you go.
Thank you.